Thank you, Brother Reggie.
And thank you, Brother Reggie. Since Sky's not here, we'll do the harmony of three, or I'll lead you in the harmony of three. We'll take the ka and ja, and so we've already spun them, sync them together, and spin them forward. Now spin them backward. Horizontal clockwise. Horizontal counterclockwise. Vertical clockwise. Vertical counterclockwise. Ka and ja, perfect sync. Add the Z, ka, ja. Spin them forward. Backwards. Horizontal clockwise. Counterclockwise. Vertical clockwise. Counterclockwise. Z, ka, ja, in perfect sync and harmony.
Was someone?
Don't have Sky's list.
Was someone? Did someone already volunteer for the prayer? I don't remember. We don't have Sky's notes. It's Sister Jeanette.
Sister Jeanette.
All right. So if you want to unmute and lead us.
Yes, thank you. Our Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together as children of light all over the world through the wonder of technology. We ask for your Spirit to be with us, uniting us as a family of light, and for us to be a light for those who too want to be a member of our awesome family and grow our Celestine light community. Help us to learn from the oracles the truths that will benefit us in our lives. We ask these things in the name of our brother Yeshua. So be it.
So be it.
So be it. Thank you so much, sister.
So next general meeting, tentatively, we have my son Tyrell is going to come on as well and join our meeting and give us a special talk on cold baths and the benefit mental, physically, and emotionally to cold baths.
Well, it's actually the benefit is learning to have control of your body, to completely calm your body. He uses it for calming his anxiety and just life, because that's what you're doing. You're calming your body so that you can go into the cold water. And it's really about having control of your body.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully
Awesome.
the schedule should be a good talk. Wise young man that he is. All right, Brother Tom, I missed you last time, so we're gonna start with you today. You have your talk, right?
Yeah, I have my talk available and ready.
All right. Well, we're gonna start with Brother Tom because he was supposed to be on 2 weeks ago and the last general
It was
meeting.
like a month ago.
Yeah. So he's been percolating on his talk for a long time, so it's going to be fantastic. I'll turn the time over to you, Brother Tom.
All right, great. Let's see here. All right. I kind of referenced like a previous talk, so it made a little more sense a month ago, but it'll probably still be fine. Anyway, today's talk that I'll be giving is discussing motivation. So the forces that drive people to do all that they do and don't do. So motivation is a bit of a strange thing. Many people can be motivated by many different reasons. So using an example, let's say I quote, need to write an English essay for school. Well, in this case, my personal motivation would be that I want to maintain high grades and therefore I'll resign to writing the essay. If I didn't care about my grades, I might not write the essay. Now, someone else might write the essay because they love writing essays, and someone else might write it because their parents made them. Someone else that's not even in the class might write the essay because they are being paid to do so. So the point is, motivation can take many different forms, from intrinsic to extrinsic, from selfless to selfish, and so on. And one of these forms of motivation is the duality between the motivation of hate and love, of anger and compassion. And this is referencing the talk that Brother Reggie gave quite a while ago. So as Brother Reggie mentioned before, many people today are motivated by anger, a raging anger even. And the interesting thing about anger is that it's an incredibly powerful motivator. People have done remarkable things, both good and bad, using the fuel of anger. If one does good through their anger, then that's great. However, they still need to be careful. So to explain this point, I shall relay a story that I heard relatively recently through playing a video game. So this was a game in which the world was magical and, you know, sparks were flying everywhere. You get the picture. So this particular story was told by an old man named Alfred in a small fishing village, and it is about his childhood friend Yarrow and Yarrow's life and his motivations. Now, upon sitting down with Alfred, he explains how he and Yarrow were the best of friends. That was, however, until Yarrow's mother, unfortunately, was killed by bandits on a trip to the capital. As a consequence, Yarrow had to become a man at a tender age. This was especially true because his father took to drinking and their fishery declined. Despite this, or rather because of this, Yarrow woke up, so to speak, and decided to make something more with his life. He learned to read and write, and he helped out the village however he could. He became a prodigy child, in a sense, and it was soon discovered he even had latent magical talent. With his ambitions and abilities, he left the small village and set out to the capital to, quote, make the world a better place. Now, as great as this sounds, Alfred noted that there was more to it. He said, quote, underneath his grand ambitions was an anger mixed with deep grief and disappointment. I don't think he was aware of it because he drew all his strength from that anger, the strength to do all this, to learn and to work day and night. But it frightened me more than anything. It's the kind of anger that slumbers inside the wild mage that believes he can master magic without the help of anyone else. At first it grants great power, but then one day it bursts out an unholy wave of destruction, turning him into one of the monsters of the old songs. End quote. This unfortunately turned out to be true with Yarrow, as when the world came crashing down, the anger that kept him going consumed him, and in the process, he destroyed the lives of all those around him. Thus, as the story shows, anger can be a powerful motivator, but also a dangerous motivator. If the fires run too hot and for too long, they will inevitably consume you. So then, if you have to use anger, use it as a spark to ignite action. Then let that flame be sustained by a different motivation, love. Let your love for others, for the world, for yourself, or whatever else be the force that sustains you. And let love ultimately be the power that you call upon to resolve conflict, even if it is initiated by hate. As stated in the Oracles, chapter 8, verse 95 of Genesis, if you are motivated by revenge to increasing your hatred, it will not do away with the hatred that motivates your opponents. Only love can bring a new dawn. So, my brothers and sisters of light, let yourselves be open to introspection. Ask yourselves what motivates your actions, and then ask yourself what really motivates your actions, just to be sure. And I hope you will find that love is a major motivator of your life. And if it isn't, then I encourage you to open your heart and let it become one. For it is truly only through a sustained love that we can cease our conflicts and rise to our highest potentials. So I testify the truth of these words in our brother Yeshua's name. So be it.
So be it.
So
be it.
What a wonderful
Yeah, that was
talk.
awesome.
Thank you,
Thank
Brother
you.
Tom.
Thank you, Brother Tom.
Thank you.
Nice, very good. Love it.
And it brought to mind too is that when you have anger, and we all have times when we have anger, and there is one distinction to make, and that's the difference between righteous anger and unrighteous anger. So for instance, if you're walking in the city or anywhere, and you saw some person trying to rape a lady in the alley, and you're going to get very angry about that. It's a righteous anger because there's a moral purpose in that anger, and you're going to go try to stop that from happening. On the other hand, if your wife, children, or other companions get into an argument with you, it's about nothing, and you get angry about it, and it's about nothing. That's an unrighteous anger. It's not a morally well-founded reason to have anger. And so that's a distinction to make too. Is just anger can be okay if it's righteous, but other than that, as Brother Tom said, love should rule.
I agree.
And sometimes you need anger at yourself as a motivator to get started, but then you have to let go of that anger to then allow the love, the light to come in to do what needs to be done. But it's that anger that is the motivating force, as Brother Tom explained.
And you can also put in loving yourself in place of the anger. So you can be angry at yourself, and that can motivate you, but you can also love yourself, and that can motivate you for the same thing, but with the other energy.
Yeah, it all depends on what you're doing. But being aware of what energies you're working with is the first step.
Okay, Brother Reggie, you have a talk for us today.
Yes, I do. So my talk is very interesting. I want to dive into it along with some reference with the oracle. Throughout my everyday existence, I try my best to live in balance. And balance is very important in all of us, especially to us brothers and sisters of Celestine light. Because balance within all of us also has another part of it that leads to virtue. We'll talk about that later. But with the balance in itself, you know, as everybody knows that I've been trained with martial arts for a long period of time. And with that training, it allowed me to see a lot of different varieties of balance and how it affects myself in different aspects. I always thought I was a balanced individual until I started, doing martial arts. But I became more and more in balance being part of the Celestine light. Because with that balance also comes virtue. Now, there's different meanings of virtue. Virtue could be faithfulness and kindness. Virtue could be honesty. Virtue could be peaceful and lovingness. My virtue always comes from the part of being, how should I say, patience and self-mastery. So with that kind of virtue, we all have different virtues within ourselves that we try to seek and try to find that really resonates with us. And with me, it's self-mastery and patience. Balance is very important in everything that we do. It's also very important in how we perceive life, how we go on to life. Because without balance, we have an imbalance within ourselves. Everybody here knows everybody sees and knows someone who's very balanced and imbalanced, right? But at the same token, they have the virtue behind that balance that backs them up. That's very important. We as Celestine light, in the Celestine light, as brothers and sisters, should have that balance along with the virtue because they work together. So, for example, we might know someone who loves chocolate cookies. Me, I love chocolate chip cookies. I love it, right? I could eat that. I could eat a whole box of Chips Oreo chocolate chip cookies for days, right? And, right? But is that balance? No, right? So with that balance, I apply my virtue with that, which is basically patience and and also moderation, right? And along with that, also self-mastery, right? Because I really don't want to have the side effects of eating too much chip cookies. Kind of allows me to, gain a certain weight, certain parts of my body, which I don't want, right? So there's a lot of moderation and mastery with that. We always see individuals who claim that they're balanced, but their virtues are not in that same modality, that same resonance. Right? When I was, well, I still do. When I still train with my Kung Fu brothers, sisters, and my mentors, everything that we do is requiring balance, where we do a lot of things in terms of balancing our mind, body, and spirit. Same thing as in the Celestine light. So we do a lot of things that balances our mind, body, spirit. And how we do that, we incorporate that with the Lanaka. Because the Lanaka allows us to balance ourselves, both externally as well as internally. And at the same time, we dive deeper into our virtues along with that balance. And that's where we, as brothers and sisters, should find exactly where do we resonate with our virtue. Or the virtues that all of us, have, but some of us resonate more to those. Like myself, mine is more about patience and self-mastery. That's what I resonate to. And I want to reference what I mentioned before in chapter 27, verse 76 to 87. And it goes like this. Each day, choose to eat a variety of simple foods that retain life. Various fruits and vegetables, sprouted bread, and sometimes a little honey for a treat. Such brings you both pleasure and health. But if you were to eat only one food, such as dates, and every meal and dates alone, you would soon become sickly and very unhappy and disagreeable before that occurred from having to eat only dates for every meal. Even a wise man eats many different foods for happiness and health. So should you embrace the balance in all of your thoughts and actions if you desire to obtain happiness in life and true progression of your soul. Too much of everything, even things which are wonderfully good, entombs a man in a grave he has dug, while moderation leads to a long life full of wonder and content. If you nourish only one part of your life, you will allow other parts to recede, and all are needed for the journey. It is fine to be a zealot for a short period of focus to gain a specific desire, but to continually be zealous to a point that reason and harmony hold no sway is to condemn yourself to contentions that trample lives that should instead be uplifted, both yours and those of whom you love. But balance alone can be a false justification to squander the sands of your life if you do not ensure that virtue guides your path. Elohim delights in the virtuous man and woman. Virtue is the fruit of the tree of Celestine light, and the sweetness thereof is made known to all, but tasted and savored only by the worthy. Virtue is gentle and sleeps soundly at night. Virtue is faithful and kind. Virtue has patience and self-mastery. Virtue is peaceful and loving. Virtue is honest and reliable. Virtue is chaste and pure. Find a virtuous man or woman, regardless of their religion or culture, and you will have found a true son or daughter of God. To hold virtue in your life, you must instill it in your heart, so the habit to be virtuous becomes greater than the temptation to be unvirtuous. By this, you conquer yourself, you defeat the adversary within, and in overcoming yourself, you become greater than he who conquers the city. I testify to you, my brothers and sisters, that what I've just said is truth, and do these things, and I do so in the name of Yeshua.
So be it.
So be it.
Okay.
Thank you, Brother Reggie.
Thank you, Brother
So
Reggie.
be it.
Brother Reggie.
Thank you.
So do we have any other talks other than Sister Dancha's lesson for today? Okay, before Sister Dancha, I'm going to try something here to see if it works. We have a portion of a YouTube video that we wanted to share with you. And the reason here is that there's a lot of, huge amount of misinformation in the world today. And everybody does it. Whether it's a political spectrum, the right does it, the left does it, whether it's countries putting out propaganda about their point of view in the wars or in anything else, is that we are bombarded from every direction with misdirection and misinformation. And so today, when we do our angel and word of power, it's going to be on discernment, to help people to help us to be able to discern in all of this confusion of everything that's out there, what's actually real and true and what's not. And there's two kinds of discernment: spiritual discernment and regular discernment. But before we get to that, after Sister Dancha's talk, we want to share this this little clip from a video. So this video, and if it doesn't work technologically, then we won't do it. We'll give it a try. But this video is from on Netflix. If you have Netflix, you can. There's a series. It's quite entertaining called Magic for Humans, and it's got a really talented magician in there. But this particular series, these two things we're going to show you aren't magic. They're actually just faking you out with not being able to discern reality from unreality. And so we wanted to share them with you. We will see if this works.
Our words, our actions, all have power. It may not always be obvious, but it's always there. So we should be careful with how we use it. Because like my Uncle Ben used to say, with great power comes great responsibility.
So is everybody able to see and hear that good?
Just wow. Wow.
That was cool.
I was right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a super, super funny show. I mean, I just laugh all the way through it. You should just watch it for pure entertainment. That's what we were doing last night. And then we said, oh, this would make a great lesson.
Well, the other part of that lesson that we've talked about before is belief in faith. And there are miracles all over the world that happen with people of faith. It doesn't matter what religion they are. They could be Catholic, they could be Protestant, they could be Buddhist, they could be Hindu, and they still have wonderful miracles of faith. And what this is really showing you is that faith is not married to any particular religion. Faith is a state of mind that allows miracles to happen. And if enough people have that faith that something's going to happen. And the difference between faith and belief is you have believe something, you still leave room for doubt, you still leave room for changing your mind. But if you have faith in something, it becomes so ironclad that that becomes the reality of your brain. And just like the guy with the hand, you know, where they're hitting the hand and poking the hand and think that if that's what your faith is total, and you're seeing that, it may start out as belief, but as it keeps on happening, that belief turns into faith. And then faith is that power that actually created the universe. And that's really the real lesson of what we're talking about here in these videos, is that yes, you can be influenced, but also influence can be in a way that wires your brain for faith. And faith is a wonderful power to achieve. And I can't even begin to describe what you can do with faith. All right, so with that, and without further ado, Sister Dansha.
Yes, thank you. Well, today's talk is all of these three subjects that you all wonderful people talked about. It's all about motivation and to be motivated by the right person. And it's all about balance and virtue. And it's all about influence and distinction. And we will speak about chapter 8 and chapter 9, because chapter 8 is a very short chapter and I will go through it very quickly. But chapter 9 is like all sum total. It's all about another word for balance, equality, and influence of the human laws, how much human laws influence to everyone in that time. So we will begin with Vivus chapter 8, Oneness by the Lake. This is a very short chapter, but full of love. This is one of the very rare chapters that we can see only Miriam and Yeshua. I don't know about you, but when I read the chapters, it's like watching a movie. I have everything in my head, and this time I had even Brother Ambrose been there watching all this evolving and watching them, watching Yeshua, how he hugs Miriam here in when she asks him, can we stay in the villa for one night? And I can imagine how Brother Brosvin watched the beautiful hug filled with such an unconditional love that we can never ever see in another human being. And it's all started by Yeshua wanting for Miriam to come and see four other very special men, two sets of brother, Cephas, Amram, and Yaakov and Yohanan. And she said, if they are fishermen, I surely know them, because her father was a fish procurer there in Tiberias. And these are fishermen, and she did know them. And she said, okay, we will meet them. Sure, I understand why you have picked them, and there must be a reason for why Yeshua wanted Miriam to know them. But in their way to come to Bethsaida, she wanted them to have one night in the villa in Magdala. But Yeshua said, if I am to be seen there, wouldn't I be a hypocrite because I'm staying in a wealthiest man's house, and I preach about humbleness and about giving what you have extra to the other person. And Miriam said, my Lord. She calls him my Lord. She loves him so much, but in her soberness, she knows who he is with all her heart. And she says, but you have stayed in even the bigger house in Bethany, which is the house of my father. And this is not your villa, it is not your house, but you are a guest here. And she was just crying. And when she said, I know who you are, she said that I know what times are coming, and I look forward to all the light you will carry here to all these people. But I too know that we will not have time for each other. The other people will come to have the celestial light. Your disciples will need your time. And this is maybe the last time I have a little time to spend with you. I suppose she said, my love. But and Yeshua hugged her so very long and so very strong. And he asked her, is this your wish? And she said, yes. And he said, not one night, Miriam, we will spend 3 nights. And they did spend 2 nights and 3 days, because she was right. And because Yeshua knew that this is also an opportunity for her to know even more celestial light. And these nights and these days, he said, it would not be enough to fill our cup, not one night. You have spoken true. Let us stay 3 nights, that our love will ever be one. We will fast and meditate together. We will greet the sun in the morning and bridge the earth and the heaven. But this is the most beautiful reason why he being Yeshua, every single second of the day, specifically with Miriam, he spent it on fulfilling her with the light to become the angel of the covenant. He used every second to grow her in her light. And he said, but before I fulfill my vow to teach the celestial light all my days yet upon the earth, I will teach you the mysteries that few other in this world will ever know. And it came to pass that late in the afternoon, Yeshua and Miriam came upon the villa. north of Tiberias, and remained there for 2 days and 3 nights. And Yeshua taught Miriam many mysteries of celestial light that she knew not, nor did anyone until then. And she discovered the full potentials of the power of light, which she had not previously supposed were possible for any but the Elohim. And I suppose she was ordained in a higher level of ordination because of the next verse where Ambrosian writes, those secrets cannot be written or spoken to the world, only given by those who have received them unto those who have proven worthy and unfailing, then called by Elohim to have the greater light. So how one gathers, how one has a greater light? First, by proven worthy and unfailing of the faith in Elohim. Then he must be called of Elohim. Then given the secrets by those who have received them. This is what we in the priesthood have. By our ordination, we were set apart because we have proven worthy and unfailing in our own faith, and we were called by Elohim, who spoke to Brother Ambrosian, and we were given the secrets by those who have received them. And this is how Miriam became the fullness of her light. And by the last night, and from the time forward, Miriam was more than she has been, and she had a greater light and understanding. Nor could any man reproach her or overcome her, for she had the glory in Elohim in her countenance, and the powers of celestial light in her words and deeds. And she was blessed and ordained these nights with the special secrets and mysteries of the celestial light. And the next day they spent in a bit of hurry to, always when I read this chapter, I remind myself to the story that Ambrose and Sister Sumara, they rushed to catch the ferry in time so they can go, and they were there just in time for the ferry as it departed for Bethsaida, so they can meet the 4 special men. And when they arrived in Bethsaida and they shared a small meal, and they were walking around the town, and Yeshua still spoke to her, explaining what they learned the previous nights. And then Cephas, as loud as he is and always complaining about something is not righteous. Why isn't he in the spotlight? So he was heard by the distance with the 2 boats approaching. And then when they stepped when they stepped on the shore, Cephas was astounded that he was astonished that he realized that Yeshua stood before him, and he said, "Is it truly you?" And Yeshua gave him a big hug. We all know how Yeshua loved to hug people. It's the embrace of love he gave them. And he hugged Yeshua with a big hug, and he said, "I told you that I would return when it was time to catch the fish of the ages, and this time draws nigh." And Cephas, he knew what Yeshua talked about, but he just played dumb, and he was shaken by like, it was like the light has come, oh, and I'm not prepared. And this was this he caught him off guard, and this is why he said, "Oh, I heard you were in Egypt." He just changed subject, like there is nothing Yeshua have said, because Cephas knew that he wasn't ready, and he knew that Yeshua came to call upon them. But as we will see at the end, they will think about all the light that will come to them. And as it is order, they were going to have a communal meal in the house of Vivus. And what happened then is the first lessons, the first light, the first declaration of Yeshua. And here begins the teachings of the next apostles of Yeshua of Nazareth in the house of Cephas. And it all began with Miriam sitting next to men, and they didn't know what to do. Why? Because they weren't used to, and the law, God forbid, sitting woman uncovered next to them. And especially the moment, I can just imagine Miriam's face when Sifa said, through that door you can go and fix us food. And and Yeshua said, oh, yes. He always was such gentle to the ignorance of his future apostles, because he knew who they were. They didn't know who they would become. Miriam knew, but she lacked of tolerance like I am. But Yeshua was always there as the bridge between them all. So he said, yes, you're right, Cephas, Miriam should be helping to prepare the meal. But it must needs be that she is also present to her to hear the words we speak. Therefore, we will both go to help with the food, so she will not miss any of the important thing we shall say to one another. And with this, Yeshua, as the perfect husband, get up and go with his wife to do the chores that they were expected only by women in this faith, in the faith of Judaism, of the Hebrew people, in Palestine at that time. But Yeshua was beside his wife, and they walk together, whether it is cooking food or tendering the garden or playing with the children. Yeshua was always by his wife, and his wife was always by her husband. And they both go through that door that Cephas showed them to prepare the meal. And they and the men, the two sets of brothers, just look very sheepishly, I believe, in that moment. What just happened? Yeshua, who was our teacher, has gone to prepare a meal, a woman's job. And just read the words they said. They thought he was possessed by a devil because he's helping women. I don't know if I was frustrated, anger, or just sad for their ignorance. The first time I read through the oracles, it's the level of ignorance of men at that time. But as Yeshua said, they were way in, stepped in the law of the Israelite. They didn't involve their mind in any of the logical thinking. You will see other sentences through this chapter that are just, for nowadays, not so much, but to us as a family of light, just unthinkable to even think about. But this is why Yeshua was there, the Elohim, the Son, so they can have the knowledge that no other living man on earth could give them. Yeshua knew, as the Son of Elohim, that they would believe only in him. And if he says that this is this, they would believe him. And this is why he didn't let to chance any other human being, no Miriam, to teach them. This is why he must come, other than his other mission, to be the bridge and to forgive all the sins, to bring the greater light, to bring the celestial light. I believe this was also part of his mission, because he knew to these men so much in the depth of the religion and not using their mind. It was only him who could lift them up from the mud they were in the ignorance back in those days. They taught him to hit his head or being possessed by a devil, because he helped women and because he talked to his wife and he even listens to his wife. But Cephas said that he knows that Yeshua is the light. He could not be possessed by devil. It's a hidden lesson somewhere here, which he should pay attention to his own words, because he was very judgmental also. But when Yeshua and Miriam came back from the room, they gathered to one end of the table and the woman to the another, but Miriam came to sit to the right side of Yeshua, which in that time, by that laws, was the place of honor. You could only sit by the right side of the person who is honored guest, and it represents to be the honored place. And Yeshua put Miriam to sit there. This blows Eva's mind. And he says, you are, he was though very polite that he whispered to Yeshua, you're embarrassing me. What are you doing? Miriam is sitting there. Don't you know what you are doing? And Yeshua said, don't worry, I'm not diminish your value in front of your friends. And Miriam needs to sit where she sits. I would tell him, here's another chair, please sit there. It's not the place, it's the people. I chose you, whether you sit right or left, you sit next to me. Can't you see that? But I don't have such tolerance like Yeshua. This is me. But Cephas didn't understand that from all the people, these 4 men, he and his brother had such an honor. He didn't see in that time that this was such an honor to be called by Yeshua himself to sit next to him. I would have sat down in the dirt if Yeshua called me. But eventually he understood and he said, be patient, my friend, I will explain everything. And during the meal, he told all about their enjoyment with the Nubians, and Yeshua shared the details about the path of enlightenment, the path of tree, which is very important chapter. We all need to speak about that chapter once again, because it is the fullness of the light, so we can become more than we are. And when I believe everybody waited for the meal to be over, so can Yeshua explain why Miriam uncovers it here in his right side? And Yeshua started by saying, the laws and traditions of many pious culture teach that women must be obedient to the commands of their husbands and serve their husbands as they wish. And it is so until this day. If, as Yeshua said, even in the Greek, even in the Greek lands, even women that are less dressed, they are still being commanded by their husbands to serve them and obey them. And he asked, dear friends, what is your opinion of Miriam sitting here? And just, I don't like to even word the sentences they said, but unfortunately, they have come to their senses and to their light. But very, very many men didn't. They didn't come to their light, not even in the 21st century, not even now. And Amram said, I think it's unnatural. And Yohanan said, who will prepare the meals if women speak? Can you imagine? They will be hungry if women speak. They cannot prepare the food from themselves. Who will prepare the meal? This was the reason why women should obey them. But Yaakov was the most irritated, and he said, look, she's sitting here and she's also uncovered. How can I think with her hair all flowing around? this was why men can think, because they look a beautiful woman in front of them. Did their mind just vanishes? And he was so irritated, and he says, before Yeshua could even speak, Yaakov had even more to say. And he says there is a good reason why women do not associate with men. And he gave 3 very strict rules why women should not speak as and be equal with men. He said, first, they need to bear children. This is why they were made by Elohim. The principal purpose of women is to bear and care for children, because this is why their bodies were created as they are, and this is it. The second most important thing for Yaakov was that women should give pleasure to men. This is also why Elohim made women. And the third thing, because women were small, they can do squats and pick up the toys for children and take care of the garden. We can bend because we are women, so we can clean the floor more easily. And men cannot bend because they have strong body and they are prepared to fight the demons all around. But we are very flexible. This is what I know from Yaakov. This is how Elohim made us. And they said, and he said, even if they had something to say, it wouldn't be edifying or interesting. It's another word for stupidity. We are here just to bear children like cattle and to bend and clean because we are more flexible. Well, Yeshua had his hands full with these men, I believe, and Miriam too. And to settle the emotions from Yaakov, first of all, Yeshua said, thank you for your opinion, very honest, because they were honest. They had pure hearts and eventually contrite spirits. And Yeshua said, I am now beginning my mission. I am now beginning to fulfill the fullness of who I am and why I have come here. And I will not be very long here, so I need torchbearers. I need someone to carry the light when I'm gone. And from all the people, I want you to be part of these men and these women who will carry the light, because I will share the light to all those who are worthy to hear it, men and women. And Amram, I believe it was Amram, and he said, Yohanan, it was. And the first thing Yohanan ever noticed in this beautiful sermon of Yeshua is, who will take care of his family when he is gone? Not that he was the bearer of the light, but what about his wife and children? This is also a good question. But Yeshua said, but if you work for the light don't you see that you will be protected by the light? How can Elohim ever let a child of a light be unsupported, be unprotected? And he told them about the vision of the communities of light. And he told them that the time will come when there will be such great community of light, even full communities in this special place in the north of the lake near the river Jordan. And he said that the world was yes, the world wasn't built in one day, so don't worry, Yohanan. We will build. We will have enough time. I'm not going tomorrow. I will be here with you many months. I will teach you everything you need to know. We will build together these communities of light. And for the beginning, we will travel only in the land of Galilee. And you will have no need. And as we have seen, they will have no need to leave their family. They will returning every single night or even 2-3 days, but then they will be with their families for a week or two and then continue to share the light. He explained everything to them, and he says, and the people are meant to come to them in the beginnings of the community of light. That they will be, during this time, we will gather the faithful to us as a hen gathers her chicks, and the community of light shall wax strong and multiply. And when the times comes that my disciple must go forth into the light, their families will be one with the greater family of light, more secure and provided for than they ever were before. And I believe this is the moment that they figure out that there is something more in this gathering. And they ask, are you asking us to follow you now, to be your disciples now? And Yeshua said, no, not now. He said to them that he first of all wanted them, for them to know for sure that they can bear the light that he was just about to tell them. And if they can bear this light, which is only the beginning of the greater light he shares, then only then they can be worthy to be numbered among the disciples and even apostles of him, of Yeshua of Nazareth. And this, he says, this is why he wants them to think about, but not today. And Amram said, he raised his head and hand, and he said, okay, this is great vision, but we started this conversation about women and we are still ignorant of that accord. And Miriam said, completely. And before everyone just started speaking, Yeshua just settled this down. Well, I love Miriam because she spoke and she didn't mind what other people think. It's their opinion. She doesn't mind what their opinion is for her. She knows who she is. And they completely didn't understand women. And Yeshua quickly spoke and he said, no matter how great man is, without a woman, he is nothing. And Yeshua speaks that only with respect and service gained from love, you can be sure that this person will never leave you. If a person respects you from love, he will be there for you. But if this respect comes from fear, in the times of need, this person that you have made him to fear you, just to obey you, will not help you. And Yeshua says, verily I say unto you, a cornerstone of my tower of light is the equality of the men and the women in matters in spirit, mind, and heart. In all matters, this is the cornerstone of the celestial light, of the teachings of Yeshua of Nazareth, equality of men and women. And only, he says, men have physical strength only to defend those who love. And none may follow me who cannot bear this brightness of this light. And this is the first declaration. And I declare unto you with words of soberness that none who follows me will be greater than Miriam, for unto her is given to know a fullness of the celestial light that no other can ever know so full, for she has been with me from every single moment, every single minute, and what I have given to her. And by this declaration, Cephas finally understood why she is in the honored place. And he said, I now understand, but not many people will, because this is a hard doctrine. And Yeshua said, not many people are even wanted to be apostles. There were only 12 apostles, so only 12 persons should know and bear this fullness of light. Only 12. And the children of light will also know this light. So it doesn't matter how many will open their hearts, but it does matter that their hearts are open so they can be filled with celestial light. Many will be called, but few will be chosen. And we are very, very fortunate to be chosen because we have heard and we have heed the call of Elohim. And this is why we are here in our own online community of light. We have heed the call. And we have been chosen, and many, I hope many other will come to have the fullness of light. And he and Miriam left those 4 men to think about it first on their own and then with each other. So to see if they can hold this cornerstone for the equality of men in their life. And he said, when I come back for 2 or 4 months, I shall call your name, and may your heart and mind, your Ja and Ka, be in harmony so you can hear my voice. And with these words, I do testify that not much is changed today, and we can all see these words are still hanging in the mass conscious level of reality, but it's also on the private layer of reality and in the universal core of reality. We have grown stronger since then. And here now the children of light are coming close to being the next apostles and barriers of the celestial light, Yeshua of Nazareth, of Elohim themselves. So be it.
So
Once
be
again,
it.
incredible talk.
Thank you.
I think you all agree with me that even though we all can read the oracles, to have Dansha presented to us is so much more alive. It's like you're there. You're so descriptive and it's wonderful. We'll love listening to your lessons.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite chapters that you presented, just exactly how I would present it about women.
Awesome.
Thank you. I always pick the words that come to me the very second. I open for the flow of the Holy Spirit and I just speak.
It works.
It works.
You're definitely fulfilling your calling as the evangelist and teachers of these lessons, and we're all very blessed to have you in that position. And it really makes I look forward to general meetings. That's the reason I look for them the most, is to hear your lessons. So, because you make them so alive, you bring them alive.
Thank you. Thank you.
One thing you touched on in your lesson that I just want to give a quick reference to is you touched upon that the secrets and mysteries of the priesthood. And everyone should know that even though we put out a lot of information, both in the print and in our meetings and videos, and that there's still secrets and mysteries of the priesthood that are only allowed to be revealed in person, and they're not allowed to be written. They have to be memorized. So just so you know that with all that we have written and all that we do share, there are still some things that can only be
There's
shared
still a lot of things.
in person, and it can only be memorized and not ever written down.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody have questions or comments on
Well,
today? And I
you should
noticed that Brother Estebus has joined us.
Oh,
Well,
Oh, hi everyone.
Hi, hi.
oh, hello.
I have been listening to Sister Densha, beautiful talk. I enjoy so much as usual.
Well,
And that is exactly why I choose her to be my mentor, because I know I need somebody who know completely the book, the oracles from front to back. So that's why I choose to be my mentor.
she'd be my choice to be my mentor too. She knows the oracles better than I do.
yeah.
I'm very humbled to do this calling for Elohim.
Well, we appreciate
You're
all the
very
time
blessed.
that you put in, both in person and on your own, to know all that you know, and it's very helpful to all of us. And the same for everybody who contributes. Brother Tom, the talk you did today, and every time we have a general meeting, we're so fortunate to have Brother Reggie, Wisdom of the Warrior, because it's fantastic. I love, Brother Reggie, that you always tie in scriptures to your lessons, and you read those. It's also helpful. Everybody else, Sister Jet, your prayer was wonderful today, and just really appreciate all of you. You make my whole life works better because we get to be together for these meetings.
So true. And we have a word of power and let's see, a new word of power and a new, where is it? A new angel.
Yeah, we have two angels to share with you today. One's in the book and one is not in the book.
Okay. Oh, it's the angels. We have a new one. We have two angels and one word of power. We have the angel of spiritual discernment, which is in the angel book on page 1. Well, in our book, it's 131. This is the sigil. And the angel of spiritual discernment is someone that you call upon, or call upon him. He's a male. If you are trying to discern, especially if you're going through spiritual text from another source, you can always find those points of truth by using your own spiritual discernment from the knowledge that you've gained in Celestine light, or if you need more help, you can call on Balderon. So we're going to, I don't know if we need to call upon Balderon or because you're familiar with Balderon, but I will give you a new angel named Kakani, and that's K-A-K-A, so two Kas, double mind, N-I, Kakani, and that's the angel of discernment. So we don't have.
So separation there, but the distinction between spiritual discernment when the subject matter is spiritual nature, and then just normal discernment if it's everything else in life, kind of like the videos we watched from YouTube, is being able to discern truth from falsehood, be able to discern when someone in the world is trying to pull the wool over your eyes, so to speak.
Exactly. So we'll call on the angel of Discernment, Kakani, together. If you'd like to mute, we will begin now. Kakani,
Connie's a female.
female. Okay, Kakani,
Kakani,
Kakani, Kakani.
Please come to us. As we need, so let it be. Kakani, Kakani, Kakani. Please come to us. As we need, so let it be. Kakani, Kakani, Kakani. Please come to us. As we need, so let it be.
Kakani, we're so thankful for all that you do in your stewardship of discernment. We ask that you be with us to help us discern truth from falsehood in all aspects of our lives. And we appreciate all that you help us with. We love you and we thank you. So be it.
So be it.
And then the word of power we'll use, which is not new. It's on page 75 to be more discerning. Vidalanda.
This is a very powerful word of power. So if you're ever in a situation that you are trying to wonder, is this person telling me the truth? And it's something you really need to know right then. Zidalanda is a great word to use. You can even just say it quietly under your breath, or if you're in a place that you can say it louder, you can. Or even if you're in a place where you're around other people and you just need to say it in your head. But you can do it the same way where you're silently saying in your head, but you're starting quiet, then it's normal voice, then it's louder voice. You can shout in your head as well. But this is a very great word to immediately allow your ka to have extra discerning power for the situation at hand.
Okay, let's begin softly.
Zidalanda, Zidalanda,
Zidalanda. All right. Nobody's gonna fool us.
All right, brothers and sisters, any questions or comments about all the stuff we covered today? All right, anything else, brothers and sisters, or you're all ready to go? Thank you so much for everybody being here today. It's the more people we have, the more energies in our meetings, and wow, you guys are so awesome. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. I testify to you that we are the family of light, and that we have power. And as our group grows, so does our ability to help each other in this life and to help beyond ourselves as well. So I testify to you those things in the name of our brother Yeshua, who I love so much. So be it.
So be it.
So be it.
I love you all, my
I
family.
love-
Have love and light and grow into your love without a shadow of a doubt.